All right, so go ahead and find yourself in that nice, comfortable position. Oh, these classes kind of bookmark my weeks for me. So on Wednesdays, it's like, all right, I'm halfway through. And then Fridays, I'm like, okay, I'm here at the end. And sometimes the time has just been passing differently for me. So I just had a moment. I was like, wow, here we are again. So I don't know. It's kind of a nice way if you keep that regular schedule of times when you have your practice, you can bookmark the time in that way. And it allows me to reflect a little bit deeply on what's happened most recently, but also kind of over time. So finding that comfortable seat, sitting up nice and tall, closing your eyes, maybe palms face down today. You can either place them on the knees, or sometimes I just like to reach my hands and all the way touch the floor right outside of my knees, reminding myself of something that's stable, supportive. So as we prepare our space for wherever we are practicing yoga, it's always best to try to remove as many distractions as possible, all those cell phones, notifications, all those types of things. But also it's good to try to remove the distractions that are in our mind. And so maybe just dedicating this hour to being present and to being here, knowing that that whole list of things to do can wait after this hour. You can do those things after this class. But for right now, this is what you need to be paying attention to. Noticing places in the body that are feeling different today. And doing your best to relax the shoulders away from the ears and relax all the muscles through the face. Letting the breath come in and out through the nose, very easily and gently. Today's practice, we're going to be focusing on some grounding postures and specifically grounding in gratitude and the little and big things that we are thankful for. And so in this moment, just ask yourself what you are grateful for today, right now. And it really doesn't have to be something big. It can be something small. It could be anything that happened this week. Notice what it feels like to remind yourself of gratitude, to remind yourself of those things that are there but are easy to forget. As you stay here grounding yourself in this sense of gratitude, I'm just going to read this short quotation. Some of you who've been in my class before have heard it. It's by Melody Beattie. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates vision for tomorrow. As you're ready, we're going to start to bring some movement into the body now by gently bowing the head towards the chest. Maybe bringing the hands back up onto the knees. And then guiding that left ear towards the left shoulder, stretching through the right side of the neck. Exhale down through center. Inhale over towards the opposite side. Exhale down. Inhale. And just go back and forth a few times here. It's very normal, especially in the mornings, to be a little bit more tight. So try not to force anything, but using the breath to get a little bit deeper. And let's come back through a neutral position. Big inhale, let's lift the arms all the way up, stretch long and tall. And then exhale, left palm down on the mat beside you and just reach that right arm up and over. As you do so, try to keep that right hip pinned down. It's going to want to lift up, but really try to press the right hip down as you reach that right hand over. Great, inhale, we'll lift and lengthen to extend the spine. And then exhale, right palm down and reach over with that left arm. Great, inhale, lift through center. Same thing, just a couple of times here. At this point, you're welcome to go at your own pace. And that goes for anything if you ever want to do something a little bit quicker or slower than me. And as you're ready, let's meet back through center. Inhale, reach and lengthen. Let's take a slight back bend. Right hand behind the back, left hand to that right knee. Just look over the right shoulder. Inhale back through center. Exhale to the opposite side. Inhale back through center. And then exhale, come over onto the hands and the knees from here. So just bringing wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we're just going to walk the hands forward, coming into what's called puppy pose. And you'll see why it's called that pose in a second. But knees stay directly over the hips. Just walk the hands forward. You're dropping the heart space towards the floor. Fingers spread wide, and either chin or forehead touches the mat. So you're just trying to stretch through the front side of the body. One more breath here. And then let's slowly, same way, walk your hands back in, wrists underneath the shoulders again. From this point, we're going to take that left leg behind us, left toes point down, and the right arm out front, right thumb points up. Inhale, reach and lengthen. Exhale, elbow and knee joints. Inhale, extend, and exhale together. Go back and forth here, really keeping a lot of strength both in the hand and in that back foot, so you're like stamping the foot towards the back wall. And as you bring the elbow and knee together, you're squeezing the core. Great, two more here. Last one, let's hold that extension nice out long. You can stay here, or if you want to try, bend that back knee so that heel is now pointed up towards the sky. We'll take that right hand and reach your right hand behind you, trying to grab the inside of that back foot. If you have the grab, open up that right shoulder back, and then lift that heel up towards the sky. And then exhale, slowly release. Right hand comes down, left knee comes down, opposite side. Right leg extends behind you, left arm out front. Try to make yourself long here, really stretch opposite directions. Inhale, exhale, elbow knee to knee. Inhale, extend, and then exhale together. Back and forth here at your own pace. Two more. Last one, hold it out long. We'll bend that right knee if you'd like. You can stay here or take that front hand, bring it behind the back, try to grab the inside of that foot. Once you have that grab, think about opening that left shoulder back. So spiraling it back and then lifting up the right heel towards the sky. Great, slowly release. Right knee comes down, left knee comes down. Curl the toes, lift the hips for our first downward facing dog. In down dog, let's focus on pedaling out the feet to begin. I don't know about you all, but my backs and my legs are really tight, and it takes me a little bit to warm up here, especially in the morning. So you can kind of shift your weight forward and back a few times. But as we do so, we really want to try to still maintain that flat back. So we're not rounding that back, we're bringing that chest closer toward the tops of the thighs. If that means you need to bend your knees some, that's perfectly fine. Take a few more breaths here. And then look between the hands. Let's slowly tiptoe the feet up, coming into our first forward facing fold. And really do your best to tiptoe those feet. It's actually harder to go a little bit slower. We'll release that upper body over the legs and just gently sway back and forth. Slight bend in the knees is perfectly fine here as well. Shake up the head. Maybe nod it yes or no. Fingertips towards the floor if they're not there already. Inhale, lift up halfway, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Sweep those arms all the way up. If you want, take a little back bend here. Press those hips forward, open up your heart. And then hands through heart center. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Bend the knees plenty here, especially as we're still warming up. Plant the hands on the floor and step your feet back one and then the other to plank pose. Great. Few options for plank. Wherever you're at, fingers are spread wide. If you don't like this option, come to your knees. It's just a different variation you're welcome to take. Otherwise, if you feel good on your feet, try to stay there. We're going to think about this grounding posture. Really press the hands away from you, so this is kind of a pose of resistance, pressing away. Think about lifting that belly button up towards the ceiling. Grounding yourself in that gratitude, maybe bringing that back to mind in this moment, especially in a more challenging strength posture. It can be more challenging for our mind to think about those things that we're thankful for. One more inhale. Exhale, slowly lower all the way to the floor. So come all the way down. Great. We're going to keep those hands right underneath the shoulder heads. Press the tops of the feet and the tops of the legs into the mat. Peel that upper body, that chest off the floor, and look up towards the ceiling. So just a little bit lift through the heart. Try not to bear too much weight into the hands, but use the strength of the back to lift yourself up. Inhale. Exhale, release. Same thing, but this time we're actually going to reach our hands behind us. So hands come behind you, palms face towards each other, or you can interlace the hands at the small of the back, whatever's available. Same thing, press the feet down, press the tops of the legs down, and do your best to lift your chest back up. Maybe you can reach a little bit higher. And exhale, release. I must admit, those are not my favorite, but they're really good for us to do. Bring the tops of the hands underneath the shoulder heads, curl the toes back under. Use the strength. On your exhale, press straight back up, plank pose. Lift the hips, downward facing dog. Look between the hands, walk, step, or jump. Forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Sweep all the way up, little back bend if you like. And then hands through heart center. Great, big inhale, sweep the hands up. Exhale, hands out and in front of you. And then inhale, bring that right arm back, look towards the right hand. Exhale, hands come back together. Inhale, left arm behind you, look towards that left hand. Inhale, hands back together, just once more on each side. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And then all the way down. Exhale, forward facing fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, bend knees, plant hands, step or jump if you want, back to plank. Lower all the way down towards your mat, but this time try to hover right above the floor. And then pull that chest through, but only the hands and the tops of the feet touch the floor if you can. Release the shoulders away from the ears. Maybe look up. Use the strength of the core, lift the hips up, downward facing dog. Great job. Inhale, right leg lifts, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the right knee and stack the hips. Draw some big hip circles here by bringing that right knee towards the left, and then swinging it up and around a few times. We'll come back to three-legged dog. Inhale. Exhale, look between the hands. Use the strength of the core, right knee in towards the chest, and just set that right foot to the top of the mat. Now, of course, if the right foot doesn't make it there on its own, you can just grab the ankle and help it out. You could also bring a couple of books or blocks to the top of your mat, and from downward facing dog, just scoot your foot in there. It's a little bit easier to get that foot in between your hands if your hands are lifted up higher. And that's just a little tip you can try on your own. From this point, we're going to rotate that left heel down and open up for warrior two. Bend deeply into that right knee. Then think about grounding both feet down. So we want to get low here. We're grounding ourselves today. Arms out parallel to each side, parallel to the floor. We'll flip that right palm up, legs stay exactly where they're at. Left arm to left leg, reach that right arm up and over. Great, back to warrior two. Legs still are there. Forearm to the right thigh, reach that left arm up and over. Great, as you do so, spiral that upper body towards the ceiling so you get a deeper side body stretch. Back to warrior two. Reverse. Warrior two, and extended side angle. Back to warrior two. Cartwheel the hands down and walk that right foot to the outer edge of the right side of the mat. Hands on the inside of that right leg, and for right now, we're gonna bring that left knee down. So this is a variation of what's called lizard pose. What we should focus on today is just getting closer towards the floor. So you might just wanna stay up here on the palms of your hands. If this is still too much pressure on your hips, you can come up onto those books or a block. Otherwise, keep breathing here, and if you're able, drop down onto the forearms, bringing the heart closer towards the floor. And just take a few deep breaths there. We're just holding here for a moment. And then as you're ready from this position, we're actually going to transition to a side plank on our left side. So how we'll do that is we're first going to lift up that left leg. We're going to focus on keeping that left hand grounded down. We're going to bring that right foot to meet the left. And then reach the right arm up towards the sky as you spiral on the edge of that left foot. If that's not a good option for you, bring the left knee towards the mat as a little bit of extra support. Wherever you're at, keep pressing the hips up. Maybe look up towards that right hand. Maybe you can lift the hips up just a tiny bit higher. And then right hand comes back to the floor. Lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, lift the hips, downward facing dog. 2 breaths in downward facing dog. And then look between the hands, walk, step, or jump, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Sweep those arms all the way up. Take that little back bend. And then hands through heart center. Great job. Just same thing on the opposite side now, so you know where we're going. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips. You keep a flat back as you dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Plant hands, step or jump, back to plank. Lower chaturanga. Inhaling to your back bend. Exhaling to downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, bend the left knee, stack the hips. Big hip circles here, swinging that left leg up and around. Come back to 3-legged dog, inhale. Exhale, look between the hands. Try to step that left foot to the top of the mat. Good. And then we're coming into warrior 2 from here, so we're spiraling the right foot down so it's parallel to the short edge of the mat. And then I just like to take a reverse cartwheel position. You're just coming all the way up and over. Okay, palms face down to begin. You're gonna look over that left middle finger. Make sure you're bending deeply into the left knee. Left heel bisects the middle of the right foot. If you were to draw a little line. Good, shoulders release. Left palm flips up. Inhale, reverse right hand reaches for that right leg. Back to warrior 2. Left forearm to left thigh, reach that right arm up and over. Spiraling the chest towards the sky. Good, back to warrior 2. Reverse. Warrior 2. Extend the side angle just a few times at your own pace.
then meeting in warrior two here. We'll cartwheel the hands back down towards the floor. We'll bring both hands on the inside of that left leg, walk the left foot to the outer edge of the mat, and drop the right knee down. You can stay up on the palms here. It might be a good idea to, at least for a few breaths, stay up here on the palms. But as you feel yourself opening up, as you take some deeper breaths, maybe you can come down, forearms towards the floor. And you're welcome just to relax the head here. If you feel like you need an in-between position between hands and forearms down, just bring that block or that book underneath you and drop your forearms on that first. But just because we do something one day doesn't mean we have to do it the next. My practice is always changing, and some days I don't feel like doing stuff. And it's not good for me to do stuff. So it's really about paying attention and, you know, being nice to your body. Couple more breaths here. We're going to be transitioning to that right side plank. So what we want to think about is first, hands come back up on the mat if they're not there already. We're going to reach that right knee off the mat. You're switching your weight into your right hand as you step the left foot back and lift the left arm up. Again, right knee can come down as an extra place of support here if you would prefer. If it is down, same motion, you're still lifting the hips up, okay? So you're not just sinking down, you're lifting up. Maybe look up towards the left hand, stacking the shoulders. And the next exhale, left hand down, we'll lower down through chaturanga. Inhaling through upward facing dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward facing dog. 2 breaths in downward facing dog. And then look between the hands, walk, step, or jump. Top of your mat, forward facing fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive, sweep all the way up. Palms touch, take that little back bend. And then hands through heart center. Great. From here, let's heel toe the feet apart a little bit. So heels are a little bit wider than the hips, toes point out slightly. Just a little bit of an angle. Inhale, arms lift back up, palms touch. Exhale, we're coming down into Malasana pose. So we'll just drop those hips all the way down, elbows in between the knees. Work on getting those heels grounded if they're not. Just try to work on that. There's a lot going on, but this is a pose that I have learned to appreciate. It used to be very painful for me. And I'm still growing in my practice in this pose, but it's a really good one for feeling that sense of groundedness. Do your best not to hunch over here, but to lift up through the heart, lifting up the crown of the head towards the ceiling. I'm going to take a little bit of an opener and a little bit of a twist here. Right hand comes down towards the right side, so you're just extending that right arm out long, and the inside of that right leg, and then reach that left arm up. Good, maybe you can look up towards the left hand. And we'll come back through center, hands back through center. Great, left hand down. Then inhale, reach that left arm up. If you're finding that this is just extremely difficult, this is another time to grab that book or grab that block and just place it right underneath your seat, and it just alleviates some of that pressure on the crease of the hips and the knees. So feel free to do that if you need to. And then we'll come back through center, hands back through center. From this position, hands stay down, and we're going to straighten that left leg out long. So coming into a crouching tiger pose on that right side. Right heel can be lifted, or you can practice with shifting that right foot forward slightly so the heel is closer towards the floor. Great. Rotate the hands around. We're going to come into a low lunge on the right side. So right toes point back towards the top of the mat. We're going to drop that left knee down. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Maybe take a little back bend by looking up and back behind you. And then hands come down towards the floor. Straighten that right leg. Flex the right foot. We'll bend back into that right knee. We're going to lift that left knee off the mat and take a little step forward, coming into pyramid pose. We'll get to the other side here in a second, but first we're coming into pyramid. So ground that left heel down and ground the right heel down. Inhale, lengthen through the chest, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold forward. You're imagining that right foot is on the right side of a train track and your left foot is on the left side, keeping hips squared, keeping shoulders squared. Inhale, lift and lengthen, stand all the way back up. You'll just rotate around so you're back into that wide-legged position. So heels a little bit wider than the hips. Inhale, lift. Exhale, back to Malasana pose. And then we're going to straighten that right leg out. So hands come down. We'll straighten the right leg. We're on Malasana on the opposite side. Again, you can play around with that placement of the foot. If it's not the best place for you right away, just work on shifting it to another place. What we're really focusing here on is that extension through that inner right thigh. So if you feel that, then you're in a good place. Great, we're going to walk our hands around. So we're now coming into a low lunge on the left side. Just kind of rotate your hands around and you drop that right knee and inhale, sweep the arms up. Maybe look up and back. Exhale, hands towards the floor. Straighten that left leg, flex that left foot. So once you learn some of the foundational poses of yoga, you can start to kind of try them in your own sort of sequence. Many of the classes that I teach are full of most of the same poses. They're just approached in different ways, and so you have a new experience each time, but once you learn them, you can start practicing them your own in a more free flow way, which I think is like the most fun way to practice yoga. So we'll come back, we'll bend back into that right knee. We're gonna lift that, bend into the left knee, lift that right knee off the mat, and step forward, coming into pyramid pose. So right heel grounds down, maybe inhale, lift and lengthen the spine before exhale, folding again. Releasing that head. Deep breaths. And then look back towards that left foot, and we're going to take the right foot to meet it, and forward facing fold. Interlace the hands behind the back. Inhale, lift up halfway, flat spine. Exhale, forward fold. Try to keep the wrists as close together as you can, and extend those arms behind your back. So you're letting the hands fall towards the floor. If that's not possible for you, you can bring a t-shirt between the hands or a towel. Give you a little bit more rotation in the shoulders. And then slowly release hands back towards the floor. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive, sweep all the way up, unraveling. It should feel good by now. Take a little back bend, bring that heart up towards the sky. And then the hands through heart center. Great. Inhale, reach and lengthen. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, bend the knees, plant the hands here, all the way back to plank. I'm going to try to take an extra long chaturanga here, lowering for a count of 5. We'll begin now. 5, 4, 3, 2, and when you're down at 1, try to hover for a moment, and then release all the way back down. We're going to do one of my favorite types of spinal twists from here. And so I'm going to try my best to give you the best verbal cues so you don't have to look up at the screen. What we want to do from this position is extend our arms out long, palms facing down, so they're like in a capital T position with our shoulders. And just bring that left cheek to the mat. From here, we're going to bend the right knee. So almost like you're bringing that right heel towards the back side of the body. And then, once you have that right knee bent, you're going to start to roll over towards the left side, rolling over on that left shoulder, and bringing the right foot behind you. So that right arm is going to lift off the floor slightly, which is fine because we're trying to get an opener through that left shoulder, and you're getting a little bit of a twist through the spine. Good, and then just breathe here. If you have a really open left shoulder, you can try bending both knees and planting both feet on the mat or on the floor. And then slowly unravel. We're going to do this on the opposite side. So just come back out, nice and gentle. You can hold it longer if you'd like. We'll switch your right cheek to the mat. And then bending that left knee, you'll roll over onto the right side, opening to the right shoulder. And if you feel especially open, of course, you can bring both knees to bend, planting both feet on the mat. And then slowly unravel, come back through center. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. And we're pressing all the way back up, either through the knees or just through the feet, back to plank. And then lift the hips up, downward facing dog. We have one last little flow here before we come down onto the mat and do a few more deeper stretches to get us prepared for our place of final rest. So last flow here, inhale, reach that right leg up, three-legged dog. Exhale, look between the hands, step that right foot. This time we're spiraling the left foot down at a 45-degree angle because we're preparing for Virabhadrasana 1 or Warrior 1. So in Warrior 1, we want to think about that left foot being at a 45-degree angle and that heel and the outside of the foot firmly planted on the mat. Once you have that position with your hips pointed forward, then you can inhale and lift the arms up. Great. Take a moment here, feel this pose. Make sure that right foot is grounded down, left outside of the foot grounded down. And we'll draw our hands behind us like we did earlier. Interlace the hands. Inhale, open up the heart towards the sky, maybe look up and back. Exhale, keep that nice deep bend in the right knee. You're going to let that upper body come forward for humble warrior. Releasing the head and bringing those hands behind your back. Then we're shifting back and forth. Inhale, we'll lift up, using the core. Maybe gaze up and back, slight back bend. And exhale, humble warrior. Good, a few times. Go your own pace, inhale, lifting. Exhale, folding. I think Humble Warrior is a really good one to remind us to stay grateful. One more round here. Great. Once you're reached back up, you can lift those arms overhead. The last thing is we're coming into standing split on this right leg. So hands come down towards the top of the mat. We'll lift that left leg up towards the sky. So you're imagining you're going into a split here. I can't quite do it, but you're thinking about reaching those left toes towards the ceiling. If you had a paintbrush in the left toes, you would be painting the ceiling. That's the kind of action we're thinking about. Forehead towards that right shin. If you feel especially balanced, you can bring one hand towards that right ankle or bring both hands to grab that right ankle. One more inhale. Exhale, left foot meets the right. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive, sweeping all the way up. A little back bend. Hands through a heart center. Last round, inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, bend knees, plant hands back to plank. Chaturanga, lowering down. Upward facing dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, left foot between the hands. Get your position right. You're spiraling that right foot down at a 45-degree angle. Hip bones pointed towards the top of the mat. As you're ready, deep bend that left knee, right leg straight. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Adjust as you need to. Sometimes I bring my hands and physically touch them on my hips and then just shift my hips forward to make sure I'm in that proper alignment. Good. We'll interlace our hands behind the back, pulling the palms and the wrists closer together. To inhale, open up through that chest. And then exhale, forward fold. As we fold down, the inside of the left knee and the outside of that left shoulder should touch, but you're not laying down on your thigh. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold. Try to keep those legs strong and still. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. You can go at your own pace here. Doing a few rounds. If it hurts too much to keep holding the hands, you can even hold your elbows. That can be another variation you can try. Last one here. We'll meet back up, arms lift back up overhead. Standing split left side, hands down towards the floor. Reach those right toes up towards the ceiling. Forehead towards that left shin. Good, so you're both lifting out of that right foot and folding forward. Maybe hands come to the left ankle, maybe they don't. And then slowly, right foot meets the left, forward fold. Drop all the way down, finding a seat. Just right where you're at. We'll extend the legs out long. Inhale, arms sweep up. And exhale for a seated forward fold. You can keep the knees bent to begin, grabbing on maybe to the outsides of the feet. And then once you have that grab, even if your knees are bent, then you can work on walking your hips back to straighten the legs. But just go as far as you're able because we want to try to keep that back pretty flat here. For today, we're not rounding over. We're keeping that back flat. Good, just breathe. Maybe look forward. And then slowly release. We're taking a spinal twist from here. Left leg stays out long. Take that right knee, hug it in, and then step that right foot on the outside of the left leg. Right hand behind the back. Inhale, left arm lifts. And exhale, either hold that right knee in for a twist or bring that left hand on the outside of the leg, looking over that right shoulder. Slowly release. Great. Opposite side, right leg extends, left knee comes in. Give yourself a little squeeze. Keeping that extended foot flexed, so that right foot flexed. Left foot on the outside of the right leg. Left hand behind the back. Inhale. This is a really important step. Lengthen the spine. Try to imagine yourself touching the ceiling. And then twist. And slowly unravel. Bring both knees in now. Feet on the mat. Maybe you can bring the hips closer towards the feet. Grab around the legs and maybe grab for elbows if you can. Then all we're going to do is drop the head in between the knees and just take a few deep breaths. Maybe taking this moment to soak in those feelings of gratefulness. Noticing how naming gratitude makes us feel can change your whole perspective. Doesn't mean it fixes other things, but it can allow us to see things in a new way. And then when you're ready, you can lift your head up. We'll bring our arms out to the side of our body now, and we'll roll down towards the floor, one vertebrae at a time. Slowly as possible. And then once you're there, preparing for just a quick bridge pose to end today's practice. Heels stay in nice and close so that you can brush them. If you reach your hands out, you can brush the fingertips around the backs of the heels. Grounding the feet into the mat, keeping the shoulders down on the mat, head relaxed on the mat. We're just going to lift the hips up. Hands can stay either beside you, or you can again interlace them underneath the back, allowing you to roll over onto one shoulder and then the other to lift up the heart space a little bit more. So just a couple of breaths here. Maybe you can lift up a tiny bit higher. And then slowly come all the way down. Bring the soles of the feet together and just let the knees fall apart. Maybe hands come on the inside of the thighs. Let gravity pull the knees away, opening up through the hips. If there's any other poses or postures you'd like to take before Shavasana, please feel free to do those things now. Otherwise, you can stay here, Shavasana here in a bound angle pose, or you can just, for our more traditional stance, extend the legs out long and arms out long, palms facing up. If your eyes are not already closed, I invite you to close them now. Allowing your body to relax as you soak up all the benefits of this practice. Maybe even allowing a slight smile to come onto the face. As you feel the support of the earth beneath you. Notice what it feels like to be on the receiving end of it, the receiving end of support. We're going to stay here for a few moments of personal meditation, and then we'll end our class together. Just slowly bringing your attention back into your surroundings. If you have enough time today and you'd like to stay in this position for your Shavasana longer, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, you can begin to awaken the body by wiggling the fingers and toes, rolling around the wrists and the ankles. As you're ready, you can lift the hands overhead, stretch from the very tips of the fingers down to the toes like you're waking up from the best night's rest. And then draw knees into the heart. Give yourself a little squeeze before rolling over to one side, using that bottom arm as a base. In this little curled up position, reminding yourself of the ways in which you can take this practice off the mat and into the rest of your day. And then when you're ready, come back and find that comfortable seat, sitting up nice and tall, doing your best to keep those eyes closed, or you can just close them again when you get there. Together, let's take another deep breath. Inhale, arms come up overhead. Let the hands come together, and then exhale, slowly lowering them, pausing over the forehead as a symbol and reminder for us to have kind thoughts to the mouth, for gentle words, into the heart, for grateful hearts, and for pure intentions. The light within me sees the light within each of you. Namaste.